On the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. This is possibly going to be one of the largest things that could happen. I don't want to oversell it. In fact, even yesterday I was kind of doubtful on where this is going to go and how this is going to head. I understand Europe and Zelensky, they've got to play their part. It's not going to be in this meeting that's happening today. Very symbolic stuff is going on already. And there is some very unique people that are going to be showing up to this. So we're going to be talking about that. Got stuff on the DC update, stuff that's just all sorts of crazy Gavin Newsom stuff today. And he's all over the map, all over the place. We're going to be talking about that. Got a lot to get into, and let's get this fired up. We've got a great music show coming up, too. It's inspired by the Jay Giles Band, like Centerfold and Love Stinks. That's a great song it has. Maybe others, we'll see. But just a bunch of 1980s rock songs, too. Just for some reason, I kind of went down a weird path and found just some really bitchin' songs from that era. It all kind of works well together, so hopefully you guys join us for the live show. Friday, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. We do it every Friday, and you can always listen to it afterwards and just enjoy the great music. All that said, I mean, I don't mean to disrespect Americans, so please don't get pissy at me if you're one of these outdoorsy people that would do this. Like if you live in Alaska, you probably are more, likely to do something like this. But to me, this is the difference between an American and a Russian. I'm not saying we'd lose in a war either. They're just very different people, wired very differently. This Russian guy, he's one of their high up the food chain dudes, Dmitriev, whatever, one of Putin's guys, special envoy. He sees a grizzly bear and goes walking towards it. That's opposite of what us Americans would do. He's like, oh, bear, yeah, so I'm going to come and pet it. I'm going to go pet the bear. Oh, I love bears. Bears are fun. And then there's some dude over here that's probably going to get eaten. What's this all about? Bear just goes running off, which I get it when you live in these types of places. Pacific Northwest, I think it's got quite a few bears. Obviously, Alaska. Dude just walks up to the bear. Crazy-ass mofo. Jesus. Kellogg's agrees to remove artificial dyes from all cereals. That's good news, and I managed to get a picture of what they're going to look like. Here it is. Yeah, there you go. It's Fruit Loops without the colors. Kidding, of course, but nonetheless, still funny. There is some cookware, and they don't have specific brands, so keep this in mind, but I thought this was actually important enough to bring up. One of the ways to know that your cookware is a problem, and it's leaching lead into the food. Lead's definitely one of the worst things you can possibly ingest in your body. Lead causes a lot of problems. Mercury's another really, really bad one, and then radioactive stuff, specifically bad. It's got two different kinds of metals. These are going to, first off, are coming from India. No slam on India, but that is where they're coming from. And I guess there is these aluminum, brass, and aluminum alloys, that are known as hindalium and hindolium, or indolium. If you have those metals in your pan, don't use that pan anymore. Now, there's like some weird small place that was doing this in a little, I don't even think it was like a posh place. Some small little cookware, Rashko Baba Company Ltd. They're letting the certain people know, like the people that sell it, but they're not giving a general product. So again, if you guys got any weird pans that you've picked up that are possibly Indian, if you can check to see if they do contain these metals, I wouldn't use them if I were you, and I probably at this point wouldn't necessarily buy pans from India, though its timing is strange, right, that this is coming out at this point. Now, the Democrats always talk about saving democracy, and I want you guys to, I'm going to beg you guys, give me like 5 minutes on this at least, because I've got a reasonably long thing that was well written that I want to read. Tyler from Zero Hedge did a brilliant job describing these people, the ones saving us, the saving our democracy crowd, right? So let's hear their leader telling us about saving democracy one last good time.
Democracy got systematically stronger during my lifetime, and most of the lifetimes of most of the people who are in that conference room that you guys are sitting in. The problem is, I think there's a tendency to take it for granted. And I think we became a little bit complacent over the years. We assumed that things would continue to get better, that our democracy would become more inclusive, that it would become more fair, that we'd make it easier for people to vote rather than harder for people to vote, that the votes would be counted rather than suppressed. And what we forgot is that history doesn't always move in a straight line, and it's not always 2 steps forward and another 2 steps forward. Sometimes it's 2 steps forward and a step back. And we're in a moment right now where not just gerrymandering, but efforts at voter suppression, efforts at questioning the results of elections, efforts at the executive branch unilaterally doing things that bypass Congress and the people's representatives, militarization of cities, politicization of our justice departments and our military. Those are trend lines that remind us that this precious democracy that we've got is not a given. It's not self-executing. It requires us to fight for it. It requires us.
What the shit is his secret, by the way? His skin looks amazing. Dude's like 112, and he looks like he's, 30. It's ridiculous. I mean, his hair obviously looks old. But, like, even on the corners of his eyes, I get up here, and he's got a couple expressions. Is this makeup? I don't know what's going on. His skin looks a little orangey, so I'm just, that lovely black skin he's got. It's fantastic. Let's see if I can actually get out of that. There we go. Good God. Okay, so who's been busy destroying democracy? Destroying democracy, the latest theme of the left, can be defined in many different ways. How about attempting to destroy constitutional, ancient, and hallowed institutions simply to suit short-term political gains? So, who in 2020, and now once again, has boasted about packing the 156-year-old 9-justice Supreme Court? Who talks frequently about destroying the 187-year-old Senate filibuster, though only when they hold a Senate majority? Who wants to bring in an insolvent left-wing Puerto Rico and redefine the 235-year-old District of Columbia by altering the Constitution as 2 new states solely to obtain 4 additional liberal senators? Who was trying to destroy the constitutionality-mandated 288-year Electoral College by circumventing it with the surrogate, the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact? Does destroying democracy also entail weaponizing federal bureaucracies, turning them into rogue partisan arms of the president? So who ordered the CIA to concoct bogus charges of collusion to sabotage Trump's 2016 campaign, the 2016-2017 transition, and the first 22 months of Trump's first term? Who prompted a cabal of 51 former intelligence officials to lie to the American people on the eve of the last debate of the 2020 election that the FBI authenticated Hunter Biden's laptop was instead the work of a Russian intelligence operation? Who ordered the FBI to connive and partner with social media conglomerates to censor accurate news deemed unhelpful to the 2020 Biden campaign? Who pulled off the greatest presidential coup in history by using surrogates in the shadows to run the cognitively debilitated Biden presidency, and then by fiat canceled his re-election effort, and then finally anointed as his replacement the new nominee Kamala Harris, who had never won a single primary delegate? Who ordered FBI SWAT teams to invade the home of a former president because of a classification dispute over 102 files out of some 13,000 stored there? Who tried to remove an ex-president and leader of his party from at least 25 state ballots to deprive millions of Americans of the opportunity to vote for or against him? Who coordinated 4 local, state, and federal prosecutors to destroy a former and future president by charging him with fantasy crimes that were never before and will never again be lodged against anyone else? Who appointed a federal prosecutor to go after the ex-president, who arranged for a high-ranking Justice Department official to step down to join a New York prosecutor's efforts to destroy an ex-president, and who met in the White House with a Georgia County prosecutor seeking to destroy an ex-president, all on the same day, a mere 72 hours after Trump announced his 2024 re-election bid? But the current Democrats ever impeached a president twice? Has any party ever tried an ex-president in the Senate when he was out of office and a mere private citizen? When have there ever been two near-miss assassination attempts on a major party presidential candidate during a single presidential campaign? Who destroyed the southern border and broke federal law to allow in, without criminal or health background audits, some 10 to 12 million illegal aliens? Who created 600 sanctuary cities for the sole purpose of nullifying federal immigration law in the eerie spirit of the renegade old Confederacy? Who allowed tens of thousands of rioters, arsonists, and violent protesters over 4 months in 2020 to destroy over $2 billion in property, kill some 35 people, injure 1,500 police officers, and torch a federal courthouse, a police precinct, and a historic church, all with de facto legal immunity? How did the purported destroyers of democracy find themselves winning 60 to 70% approval on most of the key issues of our times, while the supposed saviors of democracy are on the losing side of popular opinion? How does a president destroy democracy by his party winning the White House by both the popular and electoral college vote, winning majorities in both the Senate and House by popular vote, and enjoying a 6-3 edge in the Supreme Court through judges appointed by popularly elected presidents? So what is behind these absurd charges? 3 catalysts. 1. The new anguished elitist Democrat Party alienated the middle class through its Jacobin agenda and therefore lost the Congress, the presidency, and the Supreme Court, and now has no federal political power. 2. The Democrat Party is polling at record lows and yet remains hell-bent on alienating the traditional sources of its power: minorities, youth, and independents. And 3. Democrats cannot find any issue that the people support, nor any leaders to convince the people to embrace them. So it is no surprise that the panicked Democrats bark at the shadows, given that they know their revolutionary neo-socialist agenda is destroying them. And yet, like all addicts, they choose destruction over abandoning their self-destructive fixations. Sorry to read that whole thing to you, but I thought it was amazing. So, California's plan to gerrymander, what they've got to do, the plan to further gerrymander California's congressional districts, pushed by Governor Gavin Newsom, is being wildly panned by the Golden State voters, according to new Politico poll that was done. But they're seeking to shift redistricting authority from California's independent commission. That's who does redistricting right now. And it's been enshrined in the state constitution also, by the way. And now they're trying to switch it to the California legislature. So the legislature can draw the state lines, or the gerrymandered lines, if you will. As opposed by nearly 2/3 of the actual residents of this state, supposedly. Yet he's running forward with something to literally change the Constitution so he can do something that he feels is equal to what Texas and, quote, Trump is doing. Newsom's gerrymandering would eliminate 4 of 9 Republican districts. That would definitely suck. Arnold Schwarzenegger certainly saying, I'm fighting back. And he said he would, with lawsuits as well. But he's got a T-shirt on that's pretty sweet. I don't know. You guys might want to ever pick it up, especially people that live here in California. But F, and he starred out three of the letters. Damn it. F the politicians, terminate gerrymandering. All right? Pretty cool. Dude's freaking rock star, man. I love Bill Burr's joke on this guy, like back when he was getting accused, or back when I think he got his housekeeper pregnant. But just, I mean, what this dude accomplished as an individual, moving here as an immigrant from another country and becoming who he became, dude. He married one of the Kennedys, for crying out loud, dude. I mean, come on, that's like so insane. Dude he's a rock star, always will be. Even if he got a lot of lefty weirdness, he seems like he's coming back. Leftists have some fun response up their sleeve, apparently. You know how they like to follow rules and stuff. So this is what the residents in D.C., the lefties, are going to do to try to, get even with what's happening. So what they're supposed to do is they're going to get loud. Apparently silence is compliance, they say, so we need to get loud. Starting tonight, and every night of this occupation go outside at 8 p.m. and bang pots and pans, sing, chant, or make noise for 5 minutes. When your neighbors come out and ask what's going on, talk with them about what's happening. Post your noise making to social media. Invite your friends to come and join you. Now, interestingly, if it's only 5 minutes that they disturb the peace, right? You'd call the cops if someone's having too loud a party. If you got a bunch of people out banging pots and pans, you're calling the cops. You're not going to go out and talk with them. First off, that might not be safe to do, especially with crazy neighbors that might be literally willing to go outside and bang pots and pans just so they can force neighbors into conversations that they don't probably want to have anyways. This is what they're doing. Kind of stupid. They got railed pretty hard on it. Again, don't really care what some of these people think, but it is what it is. DC's filed a lawsuit against Trump takeover. They filed it, I think, late Thursday. I don't know, I think it technically got moved in today, at least, or filed, or however that works. But District of Columbia has taken legal action against the Trump administration's decision to place the police department under federal control. Lawsuit filed by D.C. Attorney General Brian Schwalb. He argues that the administration, that their moves violate the autonomy of the district and its residents. Again, I don't know. It's where the capital actually is. It's where his office actually is. So this isn't necessarily like Puerto Rico is doing a poor job managing crime. Oh, well, that sucks. You should get that fixed. This is the place where I go to work every day. So Trump's probably got some discussions around this, not to mention it's a territory. It's not a city like they're trying to make it. It doesn't deserve to have a mayor and all that stuff. It's not how territories are supposed to be handled. So all that said, I do believe a response was filed. The judge set the emergency hearing for D.C. restraining order. So a district judge, Anna Reyes probably has scheduled an emergency hearing for 2 p.m. Friday on D.C. Attorney General Brian Schwalb's request for a restraining order against the Attorney General Pam Bondi's directive assuming control over Metropolitan Police Department. So we'll see what or where that goes. Already seen the cleanup in action. Trump has pointed this out. And they've literally got the National Guard out there. People can be pissed about it, but most people are super stoked about it. We've got, again, a lot of cleanup actually happening all over the place, which is very cool. Literally got neighbors coming out and cleaning locations, and literally one cop is standing there while, 15, 20 neighbors are actually volunteering and working to help clean up the area. It's pretty beautiful what's actually happening, and people seem very stoked about it. They'd been seeing all the carjackings and the craziness and the crime, and everybody's saying everything's better, and they're like, I live here. It is not. And so, again, the lies that were constantly told by people on the left, at least D.C. is finally coming to terms with this and getting fixed. So Trump's doing a wonderful job. Of course, Schumer says there's no effing way they're going to support the Trump extension and fighting the crime. I think Trump can only technically get away with this for about 30 days. Not sure what he would do or how he could possibly extend it further. But outside of 30 days, it stops being he needs Congress's support, basically. And in the Senate, he would need a 60 vote, which I don't know. I'm very curious if there are any senators that would be willing to cross lines. I'm sure Fetterman would be one that would. I assume there might be some others. I'd be very curious to see if, I'm drawing a blank on the Thune, if Thune would be able to actually pull any people from the Democrat side to be able to actually put through a vote like this. Now, Schumer says no, but this is about the crime in D.C. I think we might be able to find bipartisan support, even though that will actually be the death knell of the Democrat Party. Here's Pam Bondi talking about it. Check it out.
D.C. will not remain a sanctuary city actively shielding criminal aliens. Will not happen. Under Donald Trump's directive, D.C. will become safe again, and it will become clean again. And I think what's happening is it's a combination of an extremely divisive city council. You have liberal judges. You have no cash bail, as you said. You have juveniles running rampant over this city. And you have a Metro Police Department. They want to do their jobs. And we have been out there for the last few nights with all of our federal agencies, Sean. They have been working so hard, working together. We've made 156 arrests, 27 firearms have been seized, child pornographic material has been seized, over 200 fentanyl pills taken off the street, a homicide suspect with a firearm, and we are going to protect D.C. and make it safe again. But, I think the most impactful thing that's happened, despite what we've seen with these crazy protesters out there, citizens are coming out of their homes and they're going up to these law enforcement officers and they're thanking them for keeping them safe and making the streets safe again. An elderly woman walks up to law enforcement and thanks them so she can go to the market again. So they are seeing the impact of what our law enforcement officers are doing under Donald Trump's directive, and they're going to continue to do it. We're going to work hand in hand with state, federal, local officers, and we're going to make D.C. safe again.
I love when we do it. So much fun. 18 more overnight arrests in D.C. I think his numbers aren't quite what she was just saying, so yeah, let's just assume those numbers are higher. Stories are maybe slightly out of order. America First Legal has a lawsuit going on where they're trying to get the information from the sheriff that was dumbing down the numbers. They were dumbing down the assaults. They were changing records on the back end. They're trying to get information on that. America First is the group that was actually one of the people that started it was Stephen Miller. So very cool. Founded by White House aide Stephen Miller. I don't know if he was alone in founding it or either way. They're still continuing on the great work. I just want to remind you guys, the stock market and everything that's going on, the transitions that are occurring. Hopefully you're not questioning it too much at this point. But if you are in a 401k or an IRA, I highly recommend you diversify into precious metals for a lot of reasons. One, it's just a great way to protect your wealth and correct your to save your buying power, essentially, right? Protect it. It's also going to help with the transition, I think, that we move towards the new currencies. Now, again, Goldco doesn't necessarily believe all the crazy crap that comes out of my mouth. They're extraordinarily good at doing this and taking care of this for you. So you've got your 401k, whether Fidelity or whoever you're with, BlackRock, Vanguard. They can help you transfer it tax-free and penalty-free into a precious metals IRA. It's actual physical metals. It's not in your possession, but there are physical metals with your name on it that are yours. And they're actually put into a location. Those are your precious metals. And again, giving it to you is like paying you. So you get charged fees and taxes when that happens. But getting them transitioned over and protected and waiting until our time in history where things are finally at the point and we're able to get the Fed out and we're able to start our treasury currency, whatever that would be, but likely backed by precious metals, you're already going to be there and ready to go. And you're going to have the precious metals that you can very easily change into the treasury notes. It's a great way to get out of the system before the bad day in the history happens. There's got to be something, because otherwise we're never going to get the Fed out. Has to. Something has to happen. It's not going to help the stock prices, and it's not going to help the value of the dollar. And both of those things are what you're pegged on right now in your 401k or IRA. It's just something I highly recommend thinking about. Get your wealth protection kit from Goldco. They're awesome. Go to drslikesgold.com, drslikesgold.com. Tax-free, penalty-free, up to 10% in free silver, plus a lot of other great stuff. Check them out. Let them at least show you what they can do to help protect your wealth and put your mind at ease while we go through these crazy times. drslikesgold.com, drslikesgold.com. Get your money out of them before they get it out of you. Gavin Newsom tries impersonating Trump, and actually reasonably humorous way, I think. I'm going to give him a little bit of points. He doesn't deserve them, but I'm going to give them to him. Kind of earned him, I feel like. But he says, wow, tomorrow history will be made. Caroline Levitt, that's pretty decent, will have no answers. I don't think she's a liar, but I think he's doing a good job, imitating Trump there. But Caroline Levitt will have no answers from the supposed fake media about California's beautiful maps. People are saying they're the greatest maps ever created, even better than Christopher Columbus. Donald the failure Trump will be warned, yada, 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 right? He even threw a covfefe out, which is pretty funny, which this is actually what he's doing, is covfefe. Oops. I don't know if he's doing it on purpose or not. I mean, it's probably getting ratioed hard, but huge historic event, Thursday, 11:30 Pacific in Los Angeles. Thursday, they were going to have this very, very super special event. that Trump crashed. Federal agents, ICE agents, showed up at Gavin Newsom's thing that was held in a Japanese immigrant part of town. And yeah, needless to say, it didn't have the turnout they were hoping for. Whoops. So Trump's messing with them hard. Mayor Bass totally freaks out. Love that. We got to play this. I haven't actually even listened to it, but I'm sure she's going to be screaming or something crazy. Check it out.
Not believe that this just happened to be a coincidence.
There is no way this was a coincidence. This was widely publicized that the governor and many of our other elected officials were having a press conference here to talk about redistricting, and they decided they were going to come and thumb their nose in front of the governor's face. Why would you do that? That is unbelievably disrespectful. It's a provocative act. They're talking about disorder in Los Angeles, and they are the source of the disorder in Los Angeles right now. This is just completely unacceptable. This is a administration, this is a Customs and Border Patrol that has gone amok. This absolutely has to stop. There was no danger here. There was no need to detain anyone here. And there was certainly no need to have a provocative act right here where the governor is...
Not believe that...
Beautiful day. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. A beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine? Sucker. So yeah, while fire victims are struggling to rebuild, Gavin Newsom, he decides to send some resources to Puerto Rico, speaking of which. You know, it's about 3,000 miles away, roughly, as the crow flies. But yeah, we just sent, I don't know, do they have the number in here? Sent some money their way. I don't know how much it was, but it's money we don't have, that's for sure. Guess they're, because they had some storms come in. That was nice of him to send our money that we don't have enough of to, you know, another territory. Judge blocks Trump's move to eliminate DEI in schools. It'll be appealed, obviously. Maryland judge, District Judge Court Judge Stephanie Gallagher. I feel like we've heard her name before. I feel like there's like 5 or 6 of them that are just like below, like bad. And they keep ending up with cases. It's kind of funny. White House orders a DEI review of the Smithsonian exhibit ahead of the nation's 250th birthday. They're like, look, here's the deal. We want stuff that actually makes this country look wonderful. So when people come and visit, they're actually seeing how amazing our country is. None of this DEI and all this other crap that you guys have been doing. Climate crap. No. It's like, let's have something that actually celebrates like our history, science, or the actual stuff and exhibitions that should be, you know, in existence for this great nation. I've never actually been to D.C. First off, never been to D.C. at all. Smithsonian's the one place I'd actually want to go. That's actually the one place. There's probably a couple other places I should go that I'm not aware of, but that's the one place I do want to go. And the rest of that stuff can F off as far as I'm concerned. Like the whole White House and all that. I don't give a crap about that stuff. I'd probably go nowhere near there. Duffy says climate science is going to move aside, with NASA only focusing on space exploration. I don't know if you guys remember Sizzling. Move over, bacon. We got Sizzling. And yeah, so we got, they're going to focus on space exploration instead of climate. Now, a lot of people are, of course, extraordinarily pissed about this, but whatever the case is. Other climate people, European Space Agency can worry about climate, whatever. Pam Bondi warns California and a bunch of other places, and we're going to give you that list. Said you guys are going to lose your federal funding unless sanctuary policies are ended. We've got sanctuary states, sanctuary counties, sanctuary cities. We're going to list those off. Pam Bondi's going after them hard right now. She's being very, very stern. In fact, she posted this on X. Any sanctuary jurisdiction that continues to put illegal aliens ahead of American citizens can either come to the table or see us in courts. Today, the Justice Department delivered demand letters to sanctuary cities, counties, and states, a key step in our strategic efforts to eradicate all this nonsense, I'm assuming. So at the beginning of August, the DOJ published a list of more than 30 sanctuary cities, states, and counties that were identified as sanctuary jurisdictions. Among the list of sanctuary states were California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Nevada, New York, and Rhode Island, along with Washington, D.C., because we don't know what to call Washington, D.C. Sanctuary counties on the list include Baltimore County, Maryland, San Diego County, California, and San Francisco County in California. Sanctuary cities on the list are Berkeley, California, Los Angeles, California, Chicago, Illinois, Denver, Colorado, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Seattle, Washington, Jersey City, New Jersey, or Jersey City for those of you out there, and Nolens, Louisiana. So these are the places that she is going after legally. Kash Patel was on Hannity. I saw snippets of this interview. There was a 6-minute and a 3-minute, 3-minute, 30-second to be very precise. I think ultimately I want to give you guys the whole 9 minutes. There's a little bit of preface that goes into it that Sean does, but then he has a lot with Kash talking about all the stuff that's going on. And I thought this was a really good interview to play. I think, watched a good half of it or so, and I'm like, yeah, this is definitely going on the show. So I'll be watching the second half with you guys for my first time, but hopefully you appreciate what Kash is trying to do, where he's trying to get us. Being able to put cases together against these Russia people is not going to be easy. They're going to have the best lawyers money can buy, the best lawyers money can buy. So we need the best people we've got putting these cases together. It should take a little time. I want it to take a little time because I don't want these guys to be able to squirm out of it. We better have solid proof. All said, here's Kash Patel talking about it with Sean Hannity.
For the Trump administration, but for everything that you see and hear on the news, there is so much more happening behind the scenes. At the FBI, the director, Kash Patel, is working around the clock with Dan Bongino and others and other agents. Not only are they dealing with the crime crisis left behind by Joe Biden and unvetted illegals, 12 to 20 million of them, but also peeling back the layers of what has been what we have reported as a deeply politicized, weaponized federal bureaucracy. For example, Kash Patel, the FBI director, recently uncovered thousands and thousands of Russia hoax documents inside these burn bags in a secret room at the FBI. The director also discovered official allegations from a Democratic staffer who accused Adam Schiff of orchestrating leaks of classified intelligence in order to hurt President Trump. Those allegations had been swept under the rug at the FBI until now, and that's not all. According to a bombshell report from justthenews.com founder, editor-in-chief John Solomon, James Comey, also accused of routinely leaking classified information to the New York Times through a friend, a professor at Columbia University. Just the tip of the iceberg. Anyway, here with the very latest, FBI Director Kash Patel. Kash, great to have you. Let's start with the burn room. Now, your knowledge of this issue runs wide and it runs deep because you were working with Devin Nunes at the time. I believe you were his chief of staff. You know a lot about this topic. Were you as surprised as I was that all of that information in that burn room existed?
Sean, I was blown away, but sadly, it's come to be expected in this town when corrupt bureaucrats weaponize and destroy law enforcement like predecessors of mine did at the FBI. And thankfully, Donald Trump's mandate and election victory was for transparency and accountability. Sean, just think about this for a second. Not only did we expose the Russiagate hoax with the greats like Devin and Trey and Johnny Ratcliffe when we were back there on the House Intel Committee excavating and exposing the FISA abuses, the corruption of political parties, and the lies to a federal court just to illegally surveil a presidential candidate. I come in then years later, nearly a decade as a director of the FBI, thinking we uncovered most of it. But sadly, we found a room locked away in the Hoover building that contained burn bags. And just for your audience, Sean, a burn bag is a government bag that is specifically created to destroy classified evidence and shred and burn it. Hence the name burn bag. We didn't find one, we found 7. That wasn't the only thing we found in there. We found hard drives from our predecessors and prior FBI leadership. And folks like Page, Strzok, Comey, McCabe, Comey, the list goes on from Russiagate. The names were strewn all over these materials. Now, as our great attorney general just told you, we can't deny or confirm what we're looking at, but what we can discuss is what we've publicly disclosed. And these documents have been publicly disclosed because the greatest way to educate and bring along the American public for transparency, initiative, and accountability under President Trump is to give them the documents. And step 1 is by cleaning house inside the walls of Hoover.
Okay, well, one of the important things you got to remember is that that's the FBI's job. You gather the evidence, and then it is examined, in this case, by the Attorney General, Pam Bondi. And, but there's been a lot of talk and a lot written about the investigation into a grand conspiracy. To the extent possible, what can you tell us about that? In other words, that this is long-standing. If it is, in fact, a grand conspiracy, the statute of limitations would be eliminated. Is that what the investigation is about?
Well, Sean, what we're doing is building a case for the American public under the Truth and Transparency and Accountability Initiative. And what I mean by that is AG Bondi brilliantly highlighted our partners, Director Ratcliffe at the CIA and Director Gabbard over at the DNI. We are working with them because the documents that would facilitate an investigation of this magnitude don't just rest at the FBI and DOJ. They're throughout the intelligence community. And we, the Russiagate guys like Johnny Ratcliffe and myself who investigated this and exposed this, are trying to expose documentation that we've known existed for years. At the same time, we're finding new material. So the best approach is to release this information with them and also go to our colleagues in Congress who have an oversight function on the judiciary committees and oversight committees and demand from us information and documentation that we can publicize. Things like the Durham Annex, which we've known have existed this entire time, but were classified for political reasons. We are educating the American public as we build through this transparency initiative. And where the investigation goes, I can assure you of this. We will max accountability for the American public. We delivered before when we ran the Russiagate investigation. I now happen to be President Trump's choice for FBI director, and I'm honored to lead that charge with our great partners in Johnny Ratcliffe and our great Attorney General and the prosecutors they have over there who are just as committed to justice as everyone should be, blindly so. We are going to de-weaponize the FBI and get its credibility back to the American people by delivering the accountability they need, by showing them what we're doing every step of the way. That has never been done before.
Restoring the FBI to its former greatness. That would be the words I would use to describe what needs to be done and I hope can be done. If we look at the declassified materials, for example, that Tulsi Gabbard released, we already had an intelligence assessment on the question of whether or not Donald Trump colluded with Vladimir Putin. Here I am in Alaska. They will have a summit tomorrow. And in fact, the conclusion of senior career intelligence officials was it did not happen. There's no evidence at all that it happened. Then the report suggests that Barack Obama himself, along with his top intel officials, that would probably be people like Brennan and Clapper and maybe some others, decided to do a new intelligence assessment because they didn't like the old one. And they got a narrative that moved forward. But yet also they added something. And I believe it was John Brennan that said they did not do this. But then they used the Hillary Clinton bought and paid for Russian disinformation dossier. That was also used by James Comey for the FISA applications. He signed 3 of the 4. He was warned in August of 2016 not to use it. And then we knew definitively by December of 2016 that, in fact, that dossier had been debunked and that Christopher Steele was incredible. So the question is a timeline. When you add that to the 2020 election and the fact that by March of 2020, they knew Hunter's laptop, they had verified its authenticity and that it was real, and then they're pre-bunking it by meeting weekly with big tech companies, and then when it gets dropped, which they knew would happen because of Rudy Giuliani's attorney, they knew Bob Costello had a copy, are they putting cinder blocks on the scales of elections? Was weaponization from 2020 to 2024 designed to bloody up Trump? In other words, do we have 3 presidential elections, potentially, that cinder blocks were put on the scales of the election so the results would come out the way one team wanted it to come out, the team in power?
Here's the beauty of it, Sean. You don't have to trust me or trust you. That's all. Everything you recited, the summary you just gave, is years of excavating documents that these deep state actors held and buried and documented their own corruption because they were arrogant enough to think no one would ever find it, that Donald Trump would never become president and appoint a cabinet that would go in and investigate this matter thoroughly. And when you start connecting the dots, here's what I learned, Sean, when I ran the Russiagate investigation. As bad as the crime is, the corruption cover-up from senior government officials who are sworn to uphold their duties and accountability for the American public, they are the ones that violated that trust the most internally and need to be held accountable. So the people you've listed and the names you're calling out aren't surprises. Their names are on those documents. Those documents are public. The FISA is public. The 302s are public. The Strzok page texts are public. Documents are being released weekly by Johnny Ratcliffe and Tulsi, making it public. The burn bag information is coming out. The Durham Annex is coming out. The classified appendix is coming out. The American people are going to see and hear the names themselves, and they can touch and feel it. As far as what my investigators are going to do, these guys are the best in the business, and we've assembled a team of accountability, and we're going to deliver for the American people like never before, because that's what the American people elected Donald Trump to do.
Kash Patel, this is transparency the American people deserve. I know it takes a lot of time. Look, they spent 2 years to bring charges against.
Can you guys imagine how many friggin' bags, how many rooms, that they're locked. Nobody goes in them. Nobody knows about them. People walk past it a freaking 500 times a day. Nobody's got a key, right? So, in a lot of cases, I'm sure they got to call in locksmith or drill through the lock or whatever, right? Ultimately, they got to get in that room. So I would assume there's just this big thing going on. And then think about possibility of there being buildings elsewhere that have rooms. And there's these buildings that nobody hardly even works in anymore. It's weird. A lot of things to consider. My Pillow, they got a great sale going on for us. And I just wanted to give you guys a chance to get some free shipping. All sorts of great things going on. These slippers are an incredible deal right now. This deal is not going to stay around. These will only get more expensive. They're trying to blow out these older models before we go into the holiday season. I mean, they're not telling me this, is what I'm assuming. Just what I know about marketing and crap, right? They're trying to get rid of the older ones, blow out sales, take advantage of it. The old ones are awesome. New ones are going to be incredible. They'll just, next generation, I'm sure they're going to look pretty much the same and maybe have some newer technology. I don't know. Mike Lindell, he's talking about how the soles have this soybean shell used in them somehow, weird way. I don't know. I don't notice it. There's no place on here where you'd be like, yeah, that's soybean. No, I have no idea what the hell that is. Some magic happening. There's 7 layers, though. I know that, so maybe it's one of the inner layers. Don't know. Incredible slippers. Got the employee pricing on their box edge pillow, as they call it, $19.98 with this promo code. This is a big deal. King, I guess you're just adding $5, so not that much more expensive. Great pillow, and again, fits nicely inside their pillowcases. Very nicely, in fact. Yes, so they've got, again, the towels, best towel you'll ever use. Their sheets are incredible. I'm just bummed they're going to have a better sale coming up. I'm sorry, guys. Sorry, My Pillow, but I mean, they're eventually going to have the Giza sale sheets on sale again. I would buy them when they're on sale. They're an incredible sheet, and they're worth full price. They really are, but when you sometimes can get sweet deals. So hopefully you take advantage of them when they happen. The towels are incredible. You will not use a better towel. You won't. These are not the inferior towels you're used to. There you go. Use those force powers on you. They've got mattresses. They've got beach towels, too. 50% off those. You want to take advantage of that. But the free shipping, seriously, you need a mattress and a box spring and all that? Well, I don't know about the box spring. Mattress, yes. I don't know how the bottom part works. I know you can buy frames and stuff. You can dig into it a little bit if you want, but they can actually ship you a mattress. You might have to buy the box spring separately. I don't know. You can't shove one of those in a box. They don't fold up. That's for sure. But again, maybe they do it with the actual frame of the bed itself. Maybe you don't need one. That happens too sometimes. I don't know. Check it out. But they'll ship this stuff to you for free. Yeah. Anyway, coffee also really, really good. They got the MyPillow Cross, Mike Lindell Cross, probably a better thing to call it. But it's got the black inner, silver outer, and they've also got a white inner with a black outer. It's a sterling silver. They got a men and women's, I guess that's sizes probably. But yeah, very beautiful, very cool. Good size too, as you can see. It's the one Mike always wears. You can check that out. Go to mypillow.com/OTF. That's mypillow.com/OTF. Did I mention the free shipping? Yeah, that's a pretty sweet deal. And $100 or more, you're getting digital coupons. You get $100 worth of digital coupons for that matter. Go to mypillow.com/OTF. That's mypillow.com/OTF. Get the best night of sleep you've ever had. Seriously. Here's Donald Trump talking about the one big, beautiful bill. I wish I could do them better. It's coming. It'll come. One of these days it'll connect. I know it will. It's coming. But anyways, talking about the no tax on Social Security and also protecting Social Security. They keep talking about, again, this is the deep state that's pushing news that's their fault. They've created this, but now they're pushing the news because it might make Trump look bad. But Trump's doing all the right things to make Social Security viable. We do have a problem with the number of people in the workforce. Now, I'm going to be honest. There's a crap ton of you all that are probably on Social Security that in literally within the next 2 years, I'm going to bet a bunch of you will probably come back to the workforce as an advisor in some sort of capacity as a consultant, get paid really well to help teach people how to weld, do electrical, do some of the things that we're going to need. So you guys that are retired, I just consider if you got knowledge, there might be a consulting job. It doesn't mean you have to work your ass off like you used to when you were younger. No, it means you can use your brains and get paid for your brains, not your brawn. And maybe you get paid for just, because you're such a hottie. Right? You look so good. You're so handsome. Whatever. I don't know. Here's Donald Trump talking about saving Social Security, at least.
Last month, I signed one big, beautiful bill and allowed no tax on Social Security for our great seniors, okay? So how's that? Not bad, right? No tax on Social Security for our seniors. And to protect our benefits, we've already kicked nearly 275,000 illegal aliens off of the Social Security system. These are people, many of them have already left the country, and yet we were sending them checks all the time. and 275,000, and that number is now even larger than that, Frank. It's an unbelievable job. And what that's doing is making the system strong. It's making it strong. Biden never kicked anybody off. Everybody joined. And we're carrying out historic deportations to remove many more illegals committing Social Security fraud. It's the Social Security fraud that was taking place at levels that nobody's ever seen. We cleared 12.4 million names listed in the Social Security database over 120 years of age. Think of that. So we had 12.4 million names where they were over 120 years old. Is that right? That's a hell of a statement. I have a feeling, Dan, that's not really that really didn't happen, did it? So you have 12.4 million names listed in the Social Security database that were over 120 years of age, meaning you were breaking records, because I've never heard of anybody at 125. There were nearly 135,000 people listed who were over 160 years old, and in some cases getting payments. So somebody's getting those payments, and we're after that.
I can't wait to see how that plays out, right? I mean, again, it'd be tough. I feel bad, and maybe a lot of these people, they get a slap on the wrist or something. But yeah, I mean, if you're getting a check and your grandpa died 40 years ago and they're still sending you a check because the government's stupid, yeah, I bet a bunch of you guys were cashing them. I would have probably. I probably would have. Though I will say, and this is a true story. Literally, I was walking outside. I think I was bringing in the trash cans or something, and I saw what looked like a folded check in half, a folded like personal check, And I'm like, what is that? And I pick it up, and it's, and I look at it, and it was a blank check, not made out to anybody, no dollar amount, signed. What did I do? I looked at the address on the check. I put it in an envelope. I wrote a small little letter and said, "Found this in my gutter. Here you go." And mailed it to him. It was worth the 50 cents or whatever, the 500 cents, whatever the hell it costs now to mail something. That's what I did, by the way. Making America great again. I want it so bad. Scott Bessent makes an unexpected visit to IRS with the Biden admin whistleblowers. You guys remember those two whistleblowers, Gary Shapley and Joe Ziegler, right? They all showed up at the IRS headquarters and just, freaked out a lot of people, I'm quite sure. And I guess these two are going to be playing a very significant role. And this was also Bessent's coming in there and saying, look, here's the thing. In the interim, I'm going to be in charge. I want you guys to know I'm very hands-on. I'm going to be involved. There you go. Nice to see y'all. We'll see you soon. These two guys are very, very much involved in what's going on. We don't exactly know what their titles are or what they're doing. They're not, probably of the caliber to run the organization. I'm quite sure Trump is trying to get somebody in there, but that's a process that's got to work through the Senate. So we wait for that. Speaking of which, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has also posted out Bitcoin that has been finally forfeited to the federal government will be the foundation of the strategic Bitcoin reserve that President Trump established in his March executive order. In addition, Treasury is committed to exploring budget neutral pathways to acquire more Bitcoin to expand the reserve and to execute on the president's promise to make the United States the Bitcoin superpower of the world. And I've talked about it before. Having countries own a large quantity of Bitcoin that they don't plan on moving and just holding it, that actually creates stability in the Bitcoin ecosystem. So that's good, because the volatility is really the problem with it, especially as a currency. It's just way the hell too volatile. So hopefully that, for all you guys that like crypto, I think crypto's a bad idea. I think it's basically a step towards the central bank digital currency, but a lot of it exists. A lot of people have a lot of money invested in it. So Ethereum's another one that's being talked up a bunch right now. Just things to keep your eyes on. Appeals court allows Trump administration to resume the CFPB dismantling, and that is the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. As many of these things have happened, a federal appeals court judge or a federal judge said, no, you must not do this. You must send back all the money. You must keep paying whatever the case is. And then it's appealed, And right now, the appellate courts have been kind of shutting down the district courts the appellate courts have really been shutting down the district courts lately. Federal courts, I think is a better term. But they've been shutting them down lately. I don't think they're getting the ability to just like shut down Trump's laws and everything else. So I think this is something that maybe the Supreme Court is trying to manage from their side. They're not really saying anything, but we are seeing this small handful of people that are doing everything in their power to stop Trump from moving forward. John Solomon was on with, what's her face? I forget her name. Pretty good journalist. Oh, Megyn Kelly. There it is. Somewhere. I knew there was info to help me. But yeah, so they were talking about what the subpoenas, grand jury stuff regarding like all the different grand juries. Some of them are inside D.C., but many of them are outside of D.C. There's some stuff going on. They talk about it. It's pretty cool. Check it out.
Listen, the way you opened your show, there's no better description of what the conspiracy is. It's a conspiracy to protect potential of Democrats from potential criminal prosecution and then to violate the civil liberties and privacy and reputations of innocent Republicans to create an alternate story to protect political interest, meaning what's going to happen in the election. That's what it is. It's not more complicated. And I know people say, oh, a conspiracy case is going to be complicated. No, it's really not. We protected Democrats. And the cycle is Hillary has two problems. Email, now corruption, we can prove that was active at the time. Hunter Biden's got corruption in taxes. And by the way, the first evidence of that comes in March through May of 2016. And then 2019, it's Hunter Biden a lot more. And so we impeached the president and we have the government actually creating stories that I think we will prove were false. And then in 21, they find Joe Biden's classified documents at UPenn office in Washington and his garage, and they got to make Donald Trump look like he's the classified guy first before they can let the cat out of the bag that Joe Biden has the same problem. It's a wash, rinse, and repeat cycle. And in the course of that, two potential crimes are occurring. Obstruction of legitimate investigations. Those are overt acts of a conspiracy. And then the violation of innocent people's civil liberties to create a political ruse. That is where I believe the grand conspiracy case is headed. I now believe that there are multiple grand juries that have begun work around this country in multiple jurisdictions outside of Washington where evidence is now being gathered.
You do? You
I do.
Can report that, or you have reason to believe that?
Nope, I have confirmed witnesses and who've had contact with the grand jury. So there are grand juries in multiple locations. Some of those are in Virginia. I believe one is going to begin based on early discussions in Pennsylvania. There may be one in New York. And so the activity has begun. And the question now is, and those are probably not going to be the indicting locations. I think the more likely thing is you use multiple grand juries just to make it easy to gather lots of information quickly. That's the way strike forces work. And then you keep working from there. But there are multiple locations where pieces of this are being looked at. And maybe the grand jurors don't even know it's a grand conspiracy, just looking at some of the overt acts in one of these chapters of this sad story. But that is going on. And I think it's going to be a process, right? It's going to be a 6-month process. I don't know the reason yet. I wish I knew. I don't know the reason. I mean, there's lots of, it could be related to the 2020 election.
Yeah, that's where my mind went.
Yeah. So we don't know yet. I just know that certain witnesses have been contacted about acceptance of grand jury subpoenas, and they're in different locations. So the process is beginning, but it's a long process, and we won't know a lot about if the Justice Department does the right thing. Unlike the Obama and Biden Justice Departments that leaked anything, the grand jury process will be unbelievably secret and will be masked from it because that's the way the process is supposed to work. In the meantime, we have an opportunity through the Freedom of Information Act and through our purchase as reporters to go out and try to get the story for the American people so they can understand why this is going on. The Democrats who didn't care about going after a president when it was the Republican are going to start crying, this is payback, this is retribution. We need Americans to understand it's not payback and retribution. There are legitimate legal questions here.
Yeah. And we are getting to the bottom of it, I hope. Google's been busted for sending GOP fundraiser emails directly to spam. Again, Google's been directly involved in manifesting the direction of conversations, of narratives. They've killed narratives. They've been directing narratives. Their algorithm helps push certain narratives. Google's huge in everything they're doing. The two largest search engines that exist is Google and YouTube. The two largest search engines that exist are Google and YouTube. What you find is sort of up to them. Now we're finding out that, of course, their emails involved. Probably everything they're involved with. Their AdSense, their ability to advertise, the way they control advertising. These guys were who was controlling everything. They're the reason why there's a lot of content creators that are actually, good, solid content creators that are really having a hard time getting by on this because it's hard to get advertisers. And when this gets fixed, and like for example, like the 2 YouTube channels I got right now, I got 2 of them because I got my old channel back, and it's weird. They get about the same amount of views, so I'm just going to keep them going for a while, I guess, whatever the case is. But they're not monetized. I don't make a dime off the YouTube channels per se from them. For me, it's views, and that's cool. When I get viewers viewing, that's awesome. That helps. That's where I do commercials. You guys know that. So this is a big deal. I don't think we've even scratched the surface for all the crap that Google's probably been involved in, let's say. Panama port deal for C.K. Hutchinson and BlackRock seems like it's not going to get done by the end of this year. I think a lot of this ties into China and the deals we're trying to make with China. Trump even extended the tariff hold with China. The stuff with China is very interesting. We do see evidence that stuff is moving, that China is transitioning, that the people in China are waking up, that the CCP seems to be losing power, but it's China. It is very hard to get information out of China, and when it does come out, it's weird, and people question it and wonder. And this is kind of an example. I think it's worth it. I hope you guys get this Xiaomi company This is an example of many companies that do this, many individuals in China that are trying to get some of this money out before China clamps down, before China collapses. They see the writing on the wall. There are so many problems that are going on in China. And, of course, it's my girl, Tiffany Meyer. Come on now. My girl. She's got, how many outfits you got on? You get a costume change in the middle of this? I think she did. I think she was doing a pre-recorded show and that she shared it here in this lovely outfit. Sorry, guys. I love this chick. I don't know why. It's funny as hell. Anyway, I almost hope I never meet her. I'd actually be embarrassed. I'd be so embarrassed to meet her. Whatever. It is what it is. Tiffany Meyer, my girl. Check her out. China in Focus.
A rumor circulating on Chinese social media is rattling Beijing's inner circle. What does this unexpected report about Xiaomi CEO's alleged money transfer reveal about China's financial anxieties and political messaging? Joining us to discuss is retired Marine Colonel Grant Newsham, senior fellow at the Center for Security Policy and author of When China Attacks. Grant Newsham, thank you so much for joining us. Great to have you back on the show.
I'm glad to be here.
Recently, there was the Wells Fargo executive who was not allowed to leave China, even though she's an American. Now, in conjunction with that, recently there's this rumor that's being spread on Chinese social media about Xiaomi's CEO, that he allegedly, secretly transferred $5 billion overseas using someone's surname Mao, which is the same name as the Wells Fargo executive. Now, what's interesting about this is Xiaomi is a huge Chinese company seen as important and part of the, U.S., China tech competition world. Normally, these types of companies and employees are shielded from rumors online, and given the CCP's tight control over information, especially on social media, why do you think this rumor was allowed to spread?
Well, I think the Xiaomi executive lost his protection. Every Chinese who can, the elite down to the middle class, tries to get their money out of the country, and that includes the very top people in the CCP. So moving money out of China into somewhere safe is something everybody does, and everyone knows it. But I think for some reason he got somebody really mad, and he didn't have the protection that he thought he had. But also the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party leadership, is sending a message to some very prominent companies and their executives that you had better not do anything that we don't approve of or don't like. And one wonders, say, if a message is being sent to Li Ka-shing in Hong Kong, who cut a deal with the Americans to sell a lot of overseas ports that his company Hutchison controls or owns. The Chinese government did not like that at all, and they've reined him in since then. But the Chinese, they say the leadership, the guys at the top of the racket, every now and then they send a message to make sure that very wealthy tycoons, prominent business people don't sort of get off the reservation, that they don't do too much without Chinese government approval. And it could be that sort of a message is being sent. As I said, what the executive is charged with is really nothing that everyone else in China isn't doing or would do if they can.
Though there's been a lot of news about China's economic state not being well, ongoing economic woes, if you will. Do you think with this rumor spreading that it's a sign that the economic state is so bad that you have to have the leadership essentially send out a message to be like, hey, keep the money inside China? Could that be one of the reasons?
Well, it is one of them, I think. You don't do something like this for no reason at all. And this has been a constant concern on the part of the Chinese leadership for decades, really. This phenomenon, where, as I said, every Chinese person who can tries to get their money overseas and into the free nations where there are property rights, the US, the United Kingdom, Australia, Canada, etc., and ideally get a relative out with a green card. And that operates like a futures market, where the people who are most successful, benefiting the most in the Chinese communist system, don't seem to have enough confidence in the future. So as I said, this is a problem that the Chinese government has had to deal with for a long time, at least several decades. And they haven't got half of the foreign exchange that they need to pay their debts overseas. And that's often not recognized, but it's a fact. So they don't like it when people are moving money overseas and changing it into foreign currency, which they don't have enough of. So they try to stop it. And it is for economic reasons, as much as just the sign that the people who are benefiting most don't have enough confidence in the future of the Chinese Communist Party. So it's economic, psychological, and there's an angle of sort of a very political aspect to all of this.
I want to dig into that because this does come not long after news that Jack Ma, very famous with, the anti-IPO that was stopped, actually had to relinquish control of Ant Financial to the Chinese regime, or at least something controlled by the Chinese regime. What is this telling us about the economic but also political state of the Communist Party right now?
Well, it's that Xi Jinping and his cronies are valuing control over everything else. Economic benefit, the economic condition in the country, they want control. They're willing to sacrifice, as I said, economic strength in exchange for the control. And Jack Ma's experience really shouldn't have surprised anyone. He was a creature of the Chinese Communist Party ultimately, and there wasn't enough room at Davos for both Xi Jinping and Jack Ma. So one of them had to go, and it was going to be Jack Ma. So this is a cautionary tale. But as I said, it's all about control with the Chinese Communist Party. Operate like a criminal group, and you do not share control with anyone. And that is one of the things that, if you keep that in mind, a lot of what the Chinese Communist Party does make sense.
Grant Newsham, as always, thank you so much.
Yeah, the Chinese Communist Party is not something we here in the West understand even a little or appreciate. And I don't mean it in a good way, appreciate. I mean from the standpoint of just what needs to unravel. They were supposed to be the leaders of the world. That was the plan. Trump messed that up his first term. Biden wasn't able to really fix it because there was already too much turmoil that had been stopped, too much momentum had been killed, and Trump is working the deal with China to give China a chance, because the way it's playing out, China could be destroyed if we went hardcore. And they would likely have to go military to stop it. And they likely would, from a cultural standpoint, not the people, but the CCP. They would likely use nukes in order to force their hand. So what we have in China cannot be undersold, cannot be underplayed, and cannot be underrespected. I joke a lot, but I think there's a lot of reasons why I have the interest I do. Their crisis that they've got right now in the real estate market. I mean, again, the very, very dear friend that I talked to, what is going on in China, people trying to get out from properties they have, they're just, it's a mess. And China was, again, expecting, they put a lot of eggs in baskets that Trump budged up. And it ain't happening the way China needed it to happen, the way China expected it to happen, the way China planned for it to happen. And now China's just standing there holding, bull by the horns, themselves, whatever, call it what you want. Literally, they're asking firms run by the central government to start buying some of these unsold homes to try to put some of this money back into this real estate part of the economy that is freaking in sad, bad, horrible, crappy shape. 4 adjectives. They hate that number too. Number 4 sounds like death. Apparently in China, it's very similar sounding, and it's probably the same word as far as what we would hear. Like I got a couple of very dear friends that are trying. I'm just trying to understand the culture better because it matters, and there's a shit ton of them. But just pronounce it like the word you. Why you? It's like 7 different words. It's like, it's ridiculous, literally. And it's how they say it changes the word. Oh man, it is so brutal. It is so brutal trying to like Japanese. So easy. They're very. It's like Spanish. They're very consonants. Or you pronounce what you see. You pronounce what you read, right? And it'll sound pretty close, and they'll know what you mean. China, nope. You say you wrong. You. Like, and it doesn't even sound different to me half the time. I'm like, that was different, and she's like, uh-huh. I'm like, she's got to hate me. I tip well. So, DeepSeek delays model release due to issues with Huawei chips. Yeah, because they don't have any good chips. Huawei's all they can trust because Huawei puts backdoors on all their shit, but, they control that. They've got an issue right now big time because they couldn't, I don't personally think, this is my opinion, all right? This is my opinion. This is the fact right here. My opinion is, they've been stealing technology from us, but we got wise to it, and we kicked them out in most cases and have caught them in some others. And so they're having a hard time getting their next set of code. And the chip thing, because if they use the chips that we want them to use that are decent, we have a backdoor. We can watch what they're doing with the algorithm. They don't want that. So if not, they got to use their Huawei chips, which are not as good. So it's not as fast. It's not as capable. Maybe their code that they only spent $1 million on isn't as good as they thought because they don't have the hardware to run it. Just saying. Just my thoughts. Dow Jones. All right, let's see. Does this refresh at all? There you go. So Dow is up a little bit, which is kind of weird. Everything else is down. Everything else is down. S&P 500, NASDAQ, blah, blah, blah. Not that much. Down like minuscule amounts. Gold was, I thought, up a little earlier. Yeah, it was. And then they've managed to jack it down. You guys see the wiggle woggle wibble? Weeble wobble? I don't know. Spikes. Look at these crazy. That's what they are. Is they're No? Not helping? I know. Sound effects aren't my thing, per se, as you are well aware. The World Economic Forum, they probed their Klaus Schwab. There were some improprieties, some spending of money that seemed inappropriate, masseuses and all sorts of strange things that that he probably used funds, they're saying, inappropriately. Well, they investigated themselves and found that no, in fact, Klaus Schwab did none of these things. He is an angel. Bling! Yes, Klaus Schwab is the perfect example of what the human should be. Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm just passing it along. Alexandre de Moraes, he's requesting to schedule former Brazilian President Bolsonaro's trial. He wants to frickin' put that dude in the death. He's like, can I catch him on fire now? Like, just when he gets him in the courtroom. Like, this dude's so evil. He seems evil to me. He looks evil to me. I think a lot of it's the picture. I think he photographs poorly. Yeah, I think he photographs as the evil that he is. I think the evil just seems to come out for some reason on camera. I know, it's weird. I haven't even seen you in real life where I can see your evil-looking aura. I don't see it in your pictures. That's not showing up, I want to see that. With that bald head of yours, oh, hell, I'll see your energy. Like, easy peasy lemon squeezy, home doggy. Next round in the Northvolt drama. This is a California company bought a failing, Swedish company? What is this? What the hell are they? Brussels. Swedish, yeah. Swedish battery manufacturer. And again, the only thing the Swedes make that's worth a shit are friggin' meatballs and, what was the other thing that I was the fish. Damn, those Swedish fish are good. Oh, delicious. Anyways, Brussels is already talking about new subsidies to this Northvolt company that literally lost a butt ton of money, and it became worth roughly about 300 million euros because of this butt ton of money loss. And then in the end, Northvolt collapsed under the $5.8 billion in debt. Because it's such a clean energy, and it's got to be heavily supplemented with government spending or essentially taxpayer money. It's extraordinarily expensive, doesn't work well, people don't like it, and it's not a way to move forward. There's better ways, there's better technology. They're just trying to do something that they could make a crap ton of money off of, like, because you create all these different manufacturing points, like the battery manufacturer. You got the special minerals and stuff that they got to get, right? And like all this voodoo and hoodoo's got to come together, and you get to make money in every single step of the way, and likely control the populations wherever you're at. This is all part of their thing. But, again, it's now Ursula von der Leyen, she's stuck paying this nonsense, which is hilarious. And this is a California company, which is stupid. Probably going to go bankrupt. Whatever. Apparently, so we've heard, we can't tell when you look at them. They're like, no, I'm fine. I'm okay. British people apparently have had enough. They've had enough. They are so pissed. They've got, I think they needed 100,000 signatures. And they ended up with something like 750,000. So you need 100,000. They got, 7.5 times that. So apparently, this is one of the ways you'll know if Uprit's pissed. Did you sign the thing? Yeah. All right. I guess I know you're pissed, obviously. You're furious, probably. Furious. I am so angry right now, I could punch a moose if I was Canadian. How they would say it. You'd be like, I can't tell. I don't feel it. Not feeling it, home dog. I feel your emotion when you're at a friggin' football game. I get that. I've seen it. Yeah, do you guys love pets? Look at that. Look at that cute little dog. It's not even a real dog, right? Like, how do you do that? How do you take that picture and keep that dog like, you want me to just lean on this? Like, how do you want me to, should I smile? Like, how does this happen? How does a photographer get this? It's impossible. Whatever the hell. The product's amazing, by the way. Pet Club, I don't know if you guys know about these guys. Pet Club 247, 24/7, baby. 24/7. There's just a lot of crap. We talked about the pans made in India. Yeah, they leach lead into your body. No, you'd think that's a bad thing. It is. You have the same problem with pet food, by the way. A lot of the pet foods come from places that don't care about stuff like that because it's dog quality food or cat quality food or pet food, if you will. So they don't care if it's got some stuff in it. This is one of the beautiful things about this company. They're looking out not just like for the food, but like the toys that they use, everything. So there's really cool products. You go to danradiostyle.com. Well, if you have a pet. If you don't have a pet, I don't know. I mean, this is not a reason to buy a pet. I'll tell you that. This is not a reason to put a dog door on your house, like my house currently has. danradiostyle.petclub247.com for serious pet owners. danradiostyle.petclub247.com. They've got incredible stuff. So for dogs, we'll just hit the tabs real quick. Dogs, mush puppies, right? Big one. They've also got Mojos. Those are the ones that cats like too. It's a liver treat, the Mojo. The mush puppies is like a cookie. I don't know. Some dogs are, they're weird. But they have that Coriolis versicolor. Oh, yeah, I left that part out too, right? They're not just don't have lead and crap in them, but they have this mushroom. This mushroom actually helps the immune system for people, dogs, cats, horses. I'm pretty sure other animals. I don't know. There's a lady that was feeding some of her extra mush ponies to her sheep or her mush puppies, one of the two. She was one of the mushers, was getting fed to some sheep. They were eating them. They didn't seem to mind that much. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if I find anything out from her. Maybe shoot me an email if your sheep are not eating them now or something. But yeah, for whatever the case is, dogs, cats, horses, they've got all this stuff. You should check it out. Go to danradiostyle.petclub247.com. That's danradiostyle.petclub247.com. You got the special sauce. It's got the Coriolis versicolor. A lot of ways you can get more of that into their bodies. They've got the food, which is also not just got the Coriolis versicolor, but it's also not got all the nasty stuffs in it, right? And for dogs, antler sticks. This is something I want you to think about. They like sticks. They love sticks, right? You give them one of these sticks, and it's like, stick, cool, it's rad. And then they chew on them because that's what they do. They chew on shit. Right? And they chew on the stick. Well, that get their teeth all ground down because this is super hard, but it's also mineral made from, like calcium and stuff like that. It's got good minerals for their bodies. And this gets that into their bodies, believe it or not. So this is one of those funny things. Like, we overcomplicate our lives. Like, if we actually chewed on an antler stick, in all honesty, it'd probably be good for us. It'd probably taste like shit. But, at least from our standpoint. But, healthy. Dogs will do it all day long, right? Right, wrong, and different. Cats, complex, I don't know. They got a little nipster thing. You got to give them drugs. It's cool. Whatever you got to do. They got all the food, sauces, and everything else. All that said, mypillow.com/sorry. danradiostyle.petclub247.com. That's danradiostyle.petclub247.com. They got mush ponies. They got human stuff too, by the way. Human tab. Crazy. The gummies, I really recommend. You put that Coriolis versicolor in EU. Makes you healthier. Makes you good. Yes. It's very good stuff. danradiostyle.petclub247.com. danradiostyle.petclub247.com. All right, so Russia stuff. This is big. A lot. Desperate Ukraine moments as they try to stop the war or stop the end of the war. They did a huge drone attack. It didn't actually, it did some damage, but it seems like most of the stuff got shot down. Russia, on the other hand, did something similar and also made the single biggest gains ever in one single day. They moved forward a bunch, like 40 kilometers or some crazy thing. Swiftly, up to 10 kilometers, 6 miles in a narrow section, and their biggest gain for 24-hour period. I'm close to my guess. I thought there was a bigger number somewhere I saw in there, but I'm probably thinking, there it is. What was this? Russian army took or claimed 110 square miles on August 12th. Okay, that's where I got that bigger number. Square miles, though. That's different. Yeah. Like literal distance in up to 6 miles or 10 kilometers. Pretty big push forward. That's well done. So, yeah, they did some serious stuff. Ukraine just did a little bit of damage. Trump and Putin land in Alaska summit, and this is all happening. It's the aides, their U.S. aides came in, a bunch of business people, a bunch of stuff. Like, we are sending in a very interesting group of people. We have Trump talking that he's not here for his health. I think this is an okay one to play. He's not here for his health. He's here to, make a deal, or else he wants to walk away. That's he's pretty much saying it.
I think they're trying to negotiate. He's trying to set a stage. In his mind, that helps him make a better deal. It actually hurts him. But in his mind, that helps him make a better deal if they can continue the killing. Maybe it's a part of the world. Maybe it's just his fabric, his genes, his genetics. But he thinks that makes him, gives him strength in negotiating. I think it hurts him, but I'll be talking to him about it later.
And really, I think it's a very Russian, Eastern European kind of thing. Like, it's just, I can kill you faster than you can kill me. So let's come to the table and talk about why we shouldn't kill each other anymore. Yeah, you're hurting me. Yeah, you hurt me some. I'm destroying you, though, right? Like, come on. Craziness is happening. And so it's got to stop. Here's Trump. Hopefully it's not the same comments. I think it's different.
How are you? What will make a success of this summit today?
I can't tell you that. I don't know. It's there's nothing set in stone. I want certain things. I want to see a ceasefire. This is not to do with Europe. Europe's not telling me what to do. But they're going to be involved in the process, obviously, as well as Zelensky. But I want to see a ceasefire rapidly. I don't know if it's going to be today, but I'm not going to be happy if it's not today. Everyone said it can't be today, but I'm just saying I want the killing to stop. I'm in this to stop the killing. We're not putting up any money.
Yes, led you to believe it was going to be 6 minutes long, but it in fact wasn't. Yeah, needless to say. Lots happening. This was pretty significant. Russian President Vladimir Putin makes a rare public appearance at a monument honoring U.S. cooperation during World War II, just hours before his summit with President Trump. Yeah, literally laying flowers at a specific thing honoring our partnership before he shows up to the United States. That's the type of shit Trump would do, isn't it? Think about it. This is big. This is big. I don't know how it plays out. I don't know what publicly is said, but I'm going to probably afterwards, no matter what, say this is huge. Here's President Putin's plane and entourage, likely. It's funny, at one point towards the end of the landing here, it's like it seems like it was windy there in Alaska or something. Yeah, it's like, whoa, what's up, man? You guys fly it differently there in Russia? Mother Russia. What, you got a gear in the middle? Interesting. Got 2 on the outside and looks like 1 extra gear in the middle. They only got 3. We usually do stuff in pairs. It's kind of funny here in the United. Well, I guess it can pair up with the front if you look at it that way. Whatever. Just thinking out loud while the stupid plane's landing. There you go. Beautiful. Oh my God, he landed. That's so amazing. Woo, yay. All right, whatever the hell. I don't know. It's him showing up. It's kind of cool. Now, some of the people Trump's bringing with him. U.S. delegation traveling with Trump. So Marco Rubio, Scott Bessent, Howard Lutnick, Director John Ratcliffe, Susie Wiles, James Blair, Bo Harrison, Nick Luna, Dan Scavino, Stephen Chung, Robert Gabriel, Caroline Levitt, Will Scharf, Ross Worthington, Ambassador Steve Witkoff, and Ambassador Monica Crowley. They're all showing up. It's a pretty big group of people to be bringing. This is what they've got set up for this conference room. A very interesting room, by the way. This wood. It's a very interesting room. The acoustics have got to be strange. They've got the curtains around. It's going to be awesome, but the ceiling's reflective as hell. All said, the stage is set for President Trump's high-stakes press conference with Vladimir Putin. Backdrop, pursuing peace. It is. The optics are great. This is very cool. And I'm sure when he shows up, this is like, this is awesome. Well done. Well done, Mr. Trump. Now, again, what publicly comes from this versus what actually comes from this are going to be two very different things. There's going to be the public side of it, and then there's going to be other things. This is a big deal. Putin hates the deep state. Trump hates the deep state. Both of them hate the deep state tremendously. Europe, Ukraine, they're all deep state. Controlled, at least, with the exception of Hungary and a couple others, right? So Trump and Putin are going to have an interesting conversation. Deep state hates it. They're trying to play everything up. They're trying to put, and this is one thing I want everybody to be careful of. I even kind of teased it a little coming up, but we've got to be careful what publicly is said after. I mean, how it's portrayed, like whether or not, I hope there's a ceasefire. But again, Ukraine doesn't want it. Europe doesn't want it. Is this the thing that's supposed to demonstrate that to the world? That these guys would rather have war, rather see Ukrainian people die, rather go that path, especially when the United States is like, we're out, man. We ain't doing it anymore. We're done. We're done. We're going to start making deals with Russia. This is stupid. This is stupid. So obviously the deals are going to wait until the ceasefire happens. Trump's talked about that as well. So how this plays out is going to be how it plays out. A lot of it's going to be dependent on Europe and Zelensky. And, we're not going to give up any land. Well, you're going to have to. You guys started a war. You guys started something, and you lost. You lost. You made promises. You don't just been like, after you get in a fight with somebody, you're like, all right, I take it back. Go ahead and give us back all the land that you took. And everything. And then give us $1 trillion to pay for it, and then that's cool. We'll let bygones be bygones. No, it's not how it works at all. No, you forced me into this war, Putin would say. This is what I had to do to secure the people that you were attacking, and certainly my feeling that I denazified, and the other two things that he said. He's very clear about what he was doing. The Houthis launched, apparently, another failed attack on Israel. This one stinks. I don't know what's up with this report. I don't know who and what is wrong. There's two sides of this story. Apparently, this Shia militant group spokesman said they launched a Palestine II hypersonic ballistic missile targeting an airport. Now, just to give you a little clarity, if you're shooting a ground-to-ground missile and all you need to do is just hit an airport, that's a big target. It's a huge target. Trying to hit a building is tough. Trying to hit an airport, much less tough. So supposedly, this hypersonic missile never hit the target, that Israel was able to shoot it out of the sky. Now, we understand that hypersonic missiles are very tricky to shoot out of the sky, and they've had pretty crap success, we think, from shooting them down. Maybe, I don't know, maybe the THAADs and stuff are better, right? We're just not promoting that. Don't want them to think that. But there are places, it seems, where these missiles got through, at least in Israel. I saw plenty of footage of missiles landing. that just got through. Certainly seen it happen in Ukraine a bunch. So these hypersonics are tough to hit. So something doesn't add up. I don't know if this is them. I feel like this is Israel trying to spin up more war. We want more war. And this is part of the problem. It's kind of like Zelensky. I don't think Netanyahu survives if the country's not at war. If the country's at war, I think a lot of people are like, he's just constantly about war. Like, he's really good at it. But maybe some don't realize he could have a lot to do with why the war is happening. So this is interesting. I feel like they're trying to escalate the war. I don't think it's going to be allowed. I don't know if you guys know this. Roblox, if your kids are using this, that apparently Louisiana is suing them right now for allowing essentially predators, sexual predators, to thrive and unite and hunt and victimize kids. They're able to chat with them. They're able to get them to send, I think, images and stuff. I think there's some weird stuff that's going on that is happening. And again, if you got kids that are using some of these products and it's specifically geared for kids, it's definitely somebody's going to take advantage of that. So understand what your kids are doing. Be involved. Watch them do it. Not always, but understand. Is there places where you can chat with people? Really? Can you send pictures? Wow, isn't that interesting? Have you ever had anyone ask you to send pictures? No, you have. Right? Like, ask questions. Be involved in your kid's life. It's a different world now where it's like, kid comes home and a stranger talked to me and asked me to go into their panel van. It's not like that anymore. The panel van is Roblox or a company similar. Not always, but can be. In this case, they're being sued for something that may be similar. Senators call for Meta probe over chatbot conversations with children. Apparently was having slightly inappropriate, romantic or sexual or sensual type generated topics, like conversations. Like, I don't know how this started. I don't know if it was someone pretending to be a child. I feel there's a lot of that happening right now. Reuters being the source of the information would imply to me that could be. A lot of people pretending to be minors and then doing weird things that minors don't generally do. And to some degree, it's probably going to mess with the AI's ability to identify age, or, as I'm thinking, more likely, the easiest way to identify who child predators are. Now, how they're doing this, if they're handling this properly, we'll see. Josh Hawley and Marsha Blackburn keep pushing this. They are two people that want the digital ID. I do not like the digital ID. I will never support the digital ID. I don't like that idea, especially for children. And I know they always, we got to do it for the kids. No, we don't. I'm not giving up our freedom for the kids. There's another way. There's a better way. If that's what they're asking you to do, that's not the better way. We're not giving up our friggin' security and safety for the kids. Now, again, with a porn site, it's where they start, right? I don't go to the porn sites. I don't trust. I'd be worried about all the malicious shit I'd end up with on my phone, let alone watching porn. I'll watch a porn if you got one on. I don't give a crap. They're fun. Wouldn't sit there with someone else to watch them. I'd watch with another lady. That'd be kind of fun. But it doesn't matter. That's not the point. If they're doing it there, it's like, okay, well, if it's okay there, then where's it not okay? To force you to log into Google, should they be able to get an ID? We should be able to have some anonymity, I think, especially me being me. We should be able to have some. You don't like what the channel or account's doing, like Google, you just shut it down, right? I've seen that happen before. Trump signs order easing restrictive space industry rules, trying to make launches cheaper and easier. Kind of cool. A lot of stuff going on. We'll see. Musk is still in the positive places. Here's something that, if anything, this is a hologram blue, the blue beam technology, but I don't know. I'm just playing it. I don't think there's a man standing in a cloud.
As far as it goes, on video, you can do video. Goes like, what the hell?
What is going on? Do you see that?
Utah is one of the places that they've suspected some of this technology would show itself. And so they also believe some interesting stuff. No offense to my good friends that are part of that religion out there. It's all good. It's all good. It could be Adam Smith, right? Adam Smith in a spacesuit. Like, who knows what they're going to push it as. A lot of people want to believe that stuff's going to happen a certain way. And some of those beliefs are going to be taken advantage of. Some of those beliefs, they're going to actually find people that'll believe it, and they'll put it in the sky. They'll make it happen that way, you know? And it's like you'll see what you want to see. So, again, it's cool. It's going to play how it plays. Now, I've talked, again, I think this lady she's really smart, seems like. She's gorgeous. She's a lovely member of Congress. And she's the one that they're handing all the keys to all the crazy shit. And so, again, they're doing this to destroy her. I don't think she realizes it. Or maybe she's the one that's going to be able to actually pull this off. That's possible, too. Maybe it's possible. But CIA, she was on with Joe Rogan talking about the Ark of the Covenant and remote viewing to find it, and very aware of remote viewing, and definitely it's a legit thing. CIA spent a lot of money. Russia has, too. Many other countries have spent mega amounts of money on remote viewing. So very aware of its abilities and its accuracy, for that matter. But so many of the normies aren't. So anyway, I always trip on stuff like this, but it's kind of fun. Again, decades old stuff, but it's coming to the surface now.
Interesting is the CIA allegedly located the Ark of the Covenant. I think the
remote viewed.
They remote viewed it. You can actually find that. You should actually pull
Ethiopia?
it up. No, not in Ethiopia, but it was in a Middle Eastern country. They weren't able to locate the actual. I think the New York Post did an article on it where they actually have the handwritten notes on the Ark of the Covenant location, and they remote viewed it. You should ask them to pull it up. Yeah, I'm serious about it.
Did they go there and see if they were correct?
I don't know. They did. I don't know. This is like Indiana Jones.
What?
But
Decades old CIA documents on Ark of the Covenant resurfaced amid classified group text spat. What?
Wait, like, yeah.
It was a group text argument that caused this stuff to be released.
Check out.
I love it. She's supposed to be on Rogan. I might watch it. I don't know. I'm curious. If she talks about anything useful, but needless to say, a lot of things are happening, folks. This Russia thing is something. This is a huge deal. And how this plays out, what's presented to Europe and Zelensky, they're not going to like. They want to say no. There was even talks of Hillary Clinton, and I'll give them Peace Prize. I'll even submit it. That's a good idea if he doesn't let him have the land. And that's what it's all about. Not giving Ukraine, like, essentially. They started a war. They lost, and now they're like, well, you've got to insist that they give everything back that we made them take, with blood and missiles and weapons and everything, right? Like, we want an undo. We want a redo. We want to try it again. And it's like, you guys lost. No. And you shouldn't have done that. And this should be an example to any other country that's a proxy. You should be careful because they don't care about you. And millions of Ukrainians and Russians have died in this. This is horrible and should stop. So, again, we'll see. But Trump is delivering promises. Whether it seems like it yet, the deep state's going to spin this. So be mindful, be careful, be mindful of the metal man in the sky type stories that are bound to come out. And I don't just mean those, but, sort of as a reference for some of the crazy shit that's going to come out about what happened with Trump and Putin. Give it some time, let Trump kind of say what he's saying, let his administration sort of present what they're going to present. And it doesn't necessarily mean that's the reality of it. The reality of their conversation is always going to be secret. Putin's going to present to his country what he's going to present. Trump's going to present to our country what he's going to present, and the rest of the world. And ultimately, somewhere in all of that nonsense, we're going to have to try to figure out the best we can what's actually happening. We'll do that. Definitely here. Please hit that thumbs up, subscribe, all that good stuff. I love you guys. Hopefully see you on the music show coming up in about 2.5 hours. I love it. Got a little time. Where we go on, we freaking go all, baby. It's on the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle.